tried to upload a video on Clapper and the motherfucker is acting up. So I'm done with Clapper for right now until I could I don't know what I'm gonna do. I almost threw my fucking phone across the fucking wall. Yeah, it's twice it did that. I guess it works when it wants to. Almost broke my phone. Yeah, almost broke that shit. Glad I didn't, but I almost did. Man, I hate that. So, I got to come on here and fucking rant. Because the bitch made motherfucking app. So, yeah, I want to say something about videos I keep seeing are a bunch of fucking morons on this fucking platform. Ramsey Dewey's a fucking idiot. I tell you what. I watch his videos. I agree with a lot of his stuff. But I don't think he knows a goddamn thing about Kung Fu or Chinese martial arts. He says he lives in Shanghai. But he says that there's no Kung Fu in China. Dumbass. I can understand why people don't like him on this platform. I can understand why Dan the Wolfman called him out. I can understand why a lot of people don't like him. Because he's stupid. And he says Taekwondo is practiced in China. There ain't no fucking goddamn Taekwondo in China. I looked it up. Couldn't find not one. Taekwondo school. I couldn't find a goddamn one. I even asked the people on Facebook if there's Taekwondo in China. They said, no, who told you that? It said some American that lives over there. He said, well, he's dumb. He doesn't know what he's talking about. All we practice over here is Kung Fu, Chinese martial arts, Bagua, Zhengji, a bunch of Chinese martial arts. It's still prominent over there. Maybe he just doesn't know who to ask. Maybe he doesn't know who he's talking to. Doesn't know who to talk to. But over where this guy I was talking about Facebook, he said, yeah, we got a bunch of Chinese Kung Fu Kuns over there. He doesn't probably even know what a Kun is. Ramsey, you know what a Kun is? I like a lot of your videos, yes, but a lot of it's bullshit. A lot of stuff you say, I think it's all BS. And you got people believing a lot of your shit, too. A lot of your BS. Talking about Taekwondo in China. There might be some people from Korea, from North Korea, that come up that live in parts of China that practice Taekwondo. But China is practically Chinese martial arts. Wushu. Sansu, which is Sanda. We call it Sanda over here. We don't call it Sansu over here. We call it Sanda. Sansu was what it used to be called, Ramsey. It's now Sanda. Americans don't call it Sansu. Every American that I know that practices Sanda calls it Sanda. We don't call it Sansu. That's an old name. Should have did your research a little bit better. Called Sanda now. You gotta think that over here. What the fuck ever. A lot of you martial arts YouTubers on here, some of you, I'm just saying the ones that are popular, got big and got a check mark next to your name, are really, really on here for views, it seems like, for clouds. Uploading videos. And he answered a comment about I don't know why Bruce Lee would fight Mike Tyson to begin with. If Bruce Lee was alive, he wouldn't even engage Mike Tyson. I seriously doubt that he would even care about Mike Tyson. He watched, only boxer he really cared for was Muhammad Ali. Because he studied his movements. He didn't study he didn't know Mike Tyson was a little kid. Was a little baby when Bruce Lee died. So when Bruce Lee talk about, who would win between Mike Tyson and Bruce Lee? That's a stupid question. Because why would they fight? Why would they even if they did, Bruce Lee would have killed him anyway. He would have shot him. He wouldn't have fought him. Bruce Lee carried a gun. And if he did fight him hand-to-hand combat, Bruce Lee would have maneuvered all his techniques, would have moved around his punches. Bruce Lee had speed. I guess Ramsey Dewey forgets about. You people need to ask Bruce Lee, people who know him. I can tell you for one thing, I think if Mike Tyson fought Bruce Lee in the street fight, Bruce Lee would have kicked him and that fight was done. One kick from Bruce Lee would be enough to take out Mike Tyson permanently. Done. One kick. A kick to the sternum. Right here. See where my hand is? Right here. Bruce Lee kicks Tyson right here. Tyson is finished. Probably permanently. I'm not saying he'd kill him, but I said he would put him out of commission. Probably put him out of retirement for good. Because you don't take a kick. And Bruce Lee had speed, so Mike Tyson would be able to duck it. Speed. No one was faster than Bruce Lee when it came to striking. No one had speed. You can ask anybody. Even Muhammad Ali said that no one was faster than Bruce. Muhammad Ali was faster than Tyson. In my opinion, who would have won between Tyson and Ali? Ali would have killed Tyson. I mean, there's no way. Bruce Lee was a fighter. He was a skilled fighter, and he was a martial artist. He was both a martial artist and a fighter. He was two things. And there's proof of it, evidence of his fighting abilities. He says people don't seem to see. Another problem with our society is that everything has to be filmed or recorded because obviously they think that everyone walked around with cell phones in their pockets recording everything that happened back in the 60s and 70s. You Bruce Lee naysayers, haters must believe that everyone in the 60s and 70s had cell phones in their pockets and should have been recording his fights. So you want them to record him murdering somebody and having evidence brought against him and have him arrested for homicide? Is that what you want? You want evidence of a murder taking place. You want to see Bruce Lee committing murder. That's what would have been recorded. Yeah. So I wish you Bruce Lee haters stop saying dumb shit like that because it's dumb and it's idiotic. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Why you make this sound like, oh, where's the proof? Where's the videos? People didn't have cameras in their pockets back in the 60s, 70s. The only fight footage I've seen of his was when he was sparring Victor Moore, and Victor Moore lost the speed contest. That wasn't a fight, that was a speed contest. And there was, I think, a sparring footage. He was sparring with somebody. I don't know if it was Joe Louis or somebody. He was sparring with somebody. And he had the protective gear on. He was fighting, and he was beating that ass. And there's plenty of stories, legit stories of him beating up martial artists. One of our stuntmen, there were martial artists out of, and who was challenged, I believe, quite a few times on sets of his films. I don't know about the Muay Thai fighter, but I heard that he may have fought a Muay Thai boxer, and I heard he beat up a stuntman on Enter the Dragon for challenging him to the death, and Bruce Lee fucked him up. So there is plenty of evidence, and people want to go after a certain Reginald Stroud, and people hate on him because I see the videos of people responding to that video of him said Bruce Lee, Victor Moore never beat Bruce Lee. He didn't. Victor Moore lost to Bruce Lee. I seen the footage. I'm pretty good at analyzing stuff and looking and paying attention. Victor Moore couldn't touch him. He wasn't fast enough. Bruce Lee always was blocking every punch. There was no way. They should have had Wong Jack Man try it, because they fought. I bet you haters want video footage of that too, huh? With videos of that fight, because there ain't any. All we got is from witnesses that were there telling the exact story of what happened during that fight. And it was a tie, from what I can remember. Neither Bruce or Wong won because they became friends. Like, they were friends after that. They didn't want to be enemies. But for Ramsey Dewey saying that there's no Shaolin, I believe that there's still Shaolin temples. There's a lot of fucking idiots on YouTube, on the internet. There's still some Shaolin. There's still Shaolin. Maybe not as like they was, but there's still Shaolin. There is. There's still legit Shaolin temples and Shaolin monks and Shaolin priests and Shaolin kung fu warrior monks that could kick any UFC fighter's ass. There were monks, kung fu warrior monks that could have killed Bruce Lee. They exist, then and now. They just don't come down out of the temples. They live a secluded life. They live a life of no technology. They don't have cell phones. They don't have cameras. They don't have internet. They don't have TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. You're not going to find any Shaolin people anywhere on here. You got people who are people like Yi Long or whatever his name is, who's a Shaolin kung fu practitioner who's going up in MMA and kickboxing and whipping everybody's ass. That's because he's a legit Shaolin warrior monk. He actually knows he's a Shaolin warrior. He's a kung fu monk. And there's plenty. There's one guy on here who's Shaolin. He's former Shaolin. And he's a kung fu warrior monk. There's still kung fu. I don't know what Ramsey Dewey was talking about in that video, but I just thought that was just the most idiocy I've ever seen come out of his mouth. And if he sees this video, I hope that this is a criticize. I'm not hating on him. It may appear to be that I am. I just don't agree with that. And I've asked around. They've never heard no Taekwondo in China, in Shanghai. If there is, like you said, it's like it's an Olympic thing. Because Taekwondo is an Olympic sport now. And they just don't go to China. They go all over. In the Olympics, they go all over. And Wushu is a sport. That's what Jet Li was known for, Wushu. That's where he was a champion, national champion. As far as Sanda is a combat sport, it's their kickboxing. It's their Chinese boxing. It's an old term used. It's another term I use, Chinese boxing, which is Sanda. And I remember someone saying on here that he's a friend of mine. I love this guy to death, but AJ Van Bakker said something to me. Said that Chinese boxing, he also believes that Dutch kickboxing is the best, and he might be right. I don't know, but he thinks that Dutch kickboxers are the best kickboxers, and that's his opinion. And a lot of Dutch kickboxers are good, but I don't think they could hang with a lot of the Muay Thai guys or a lot of the guys in Sanda, like in China, mainland China. I don't think that they could beat every Muay Thai boxer or Sanda kickboxer. I don't think that. He said that Chinese kicks aren't as good as Dutch kicks. Well, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of Chinese kickers that could destroy a Dutch kickboxer. That's just my opinion. I mean, we may have difference of agreements, but I like AJ. He's a very, very talented guy. You gotta check out his channel. He's one of the greatest. And I believe he could whip Michael J. White's ass. Yes, I do. No offense to Michael J. White, I like you too, but your mouth is a problem. Your big mouth has gotten you in trouble. If you think you could If he could beat Bruce Lee, go fight AJ Van Barker. He's about size as Bruce Lee. Actually, not the same height, but the same weight class, just about. AJ's very smaller and a very small weight class compared to you, Michael. If you could beat Bruce Lee, you should be able to have a problem beating AJ Van Barker. I don't think you could because I think AJ has the better kicking. He has the kicking advantage. You may got the power, but AJ's got the speed and the kicks. If he does kick you, I think you would be done. He'll take one kick to the side of the head. Right here. If he kicks you inside the head, you're fucked. I think Mikey Samurai could probably take Michael J. White. I mean, look at his guy. I've seen his kicks. He's got some pretty karate-style kicks. Jean-Claude Van Damme would have destroyed Michael J. White in his prime. Prime Van Damme versus Prime MJW. Prime Van Damme wins easily. One kick from Van Damme is all it would take. Now, as far as him beating Steven Seagal, I don't think that would ever happen. I mean, I don't even know if that did happen, who I think would win. I don't agree with Shelton Lineage. I don't think Shelton Lineage. I think he's just friends with Van Damme. That's why he said that he thinks Van Damme would beat Steven Seagal. My opinion, I think Seagal would absolutely kill Van Damme, in my opinion, because of the weight advantage, the size advantage. I mean, as soon as he lifts his fucking leg at Seagal's just going to block his leg and just break it. I mean, Seagal's got the advantage over Van Damme. I don't think Chuck Norris could beat Steven Seagal either. A lot of people are going to say, well, Chuck Norris would destroy you. He's the karate champion. So, there's been plenty of martial artists who've never competed have beaten champions, who have beaten martial artists who have competed. That's because you fought professionally for money doesn't mean you're the baddest motherfucker on the planet. I think Jeff Speakman could destroy Chuck Norris. Jeff Speakman's never fought professionally. He would absolutely knock Chuck Norris out the fucking, knock the wind out of him. Those fast, rapid hand attacks, Kempo, American Kempo, Norris wouldn't know what hit him. And Norris was a champion, yes. But that's just my opinion. I think David Bradley was a champion, yes. And I think that he could beat all the champions, in my opinion. David Bradley, I think, was undefeated karate champion. I think he could beat them all. That's just my opinion. David Bradley was the man. I wish he hadn't quit acting. But, you know what, maybe it just wasn't for him. Maybe he just wasn't making the right money. Which I can't blame him. But I wish he had continued, on a little bit longer with his career. He could at least stopped acting around 2006, 2008. But he could have continued a little bit longer. But maybe he just didn't want to do it. But who knows why? But the internet rumors need to fucking go. He didn't break his back. He never broke his back. The movie industry wasn't offering him anything worthy of doing anymore. They just were. Never mind. I don't want to say more because the movie industry is a funny business. There's plenty of martial artists that should have been stars, but that weren't. I believe Mark Dacascos and Brandon Lee were stars. Yes, I believe they were stars. One's life was cut short, and the other just, I believe Mark Dacascos is a pretty big name. I actually think he is. I mean, he did some pretty good films. I mean, he may not be on the level of Von Dom Seagal, but I think he's up there. That's what's my opinion. I think he did well. Thomas Ian Griffith, I mean, how many movies did he do? Like 6? Could have been could have been done more too. But as far as Philip Rhee, I thought he was a pretty big name. I mean, the best movies is what he's known for. So, I think those did well. I think he was pretty popular. I mean, as far as being that movie. But as far as, Viking Samurai not put Chuck Norris on that level of Von Damme and Seagal is kind of funny to me because since Chuck Norris was the man in the 80s, before Van Damme and Seagal ever were. Chuck Norris was doing movies before they were. I mean, he did movies for Canon, which was pretty much owned by MGM, I believe. MGM, who released a lot of his movies. I mean, how could you not Missing in Action franchise? Or like Chuck Norris's biggest hits in the 80s. Missing in Action 1, 2, and 3. And Walker, Texas Ranger. I mean, Chuck Norris was already a big household name before Van Damme and Seagal were. Just, I think Seagal was probably the bigger name in that time. Because in the 90s, Seagal was the guy. Seagal was the man. Everyone wanted to go watch a Seagal movie. My first Steven Seagal movie I ever watched, I believe it was Out for Justice, 1991. That was the movie, because the way he killed Wayne Forsythe was just awesome. I never seen anybody die like that in a movie. Just fucking stuck that thing in his fucking forehead. Just watched the blood squirt out. It was funny. It was brutal, but it worked. So yeah, I'm done.